Oh, really?
Vampyre! We take your candy!
Count Dracula.
I am Dracula. And I bid you welcome, Mr. Hunt, to my house. Come in.
Our first award goes to the vampire for most blood drained in a single evening.
The strength of the vampire is that people will not believe in him.
Good evening, YouTube. Welcome back. So, I have already uploaded the opening. I've already listened to it. I've already tested the mic. Juliet is sleeping at my feet. Oh, I said her name. I don't know where the cat is. Heat and AC are turned off. Tea is made. Fingers crossed. It is Friday night. So, like, 36 hours before this is supposed to drop. And I don't normally cut it that close, but I did want to talk about Philly and not pretend. So I wanted to do it after Philly, and this is my first chance. So we're going to do this because I got to get this thing edited and uploaded to you on time, because that's the kind of person I am. I hate to be late. So let's do this. Okay. I should probably bring the mic in front of my face. There we go. Oh, I gotta situate. Okay, you can tell it's been a little while since I did this because I'm out of my rhythm. That's okay, we're gonna get this back. Alrighty. This is riveting entertainment, isn't it? Okay. Good evening, my fellow vampire lovers. The sun is going down, and you know what that means. It's time for me to record another episode of my podcast, The Beautiful Dead. As always, I am your host, Lena Nazari. I haven't spelled it in a while. It's Nazarei. You can go to lenanazari.com to find links to all of my social media, blah-de-blah. Okay, so I am freshly back from Philly, and I am not lying when I say this is one of my favorite cons by far. I've never had a bad experience there. I absolutely love Philadelphia. If it was closer to water and didn't have winters, I might move there, but sorry, New Orleans, you're still killing it. You are still my future. But had a blast in Philly, met some amazing people, made some good new friends that I'm very excited about. Sold a bunch of books, talked to a bunch of people. If you are a new listener of the podcast or a watcher of the YouTube channel and you met me in Philly, hi, thanks for following me. Had so much fun. The panel was amazing. It went better than I even could have planned or hoped. My human servant Layla took a bunch of pictures, so I'll be getting those posted, but it went amazing. And if you were at my panel in Philly and you're here now, thank you. So I had such a good experience. I was so nervous getting up there, and as more people came into the room, I was getting more and more nervous. But once I cracked my first joke and people laughed, then I was okay. And then once I started talking, I was fine, because let's be honest, people, I can talk about vampires for hours. So I had no problem. I could have kept going if they hadn't waved to me and told me it was time to cut. So that was the panel. So if you didn't meet me in Philly, if you didn't get to see me in Philly, boo, but don't worry, there's lots of opportunities. So the next one will be Memento Con in August here in Pittsburgh, and I just announced a new appearance. This one's kind of been in the works, but I wanted to wait till it was official before I promised you guys anything. That is the last weekend of September. I believe it is September 29th to October 1st. And this one is going to be super special because not only are we where I grew up in Arlington, Virginia, just like a hop, skip, and a jump, little Lena grew up. We're not far from where I went to prom, so that's pretty exciting. But also, it's my birthday weekend. Oh, hi, Norman. Oh, we're going to have to edit that out for the podcast, but you YouTubers, we have a Norman sighting. We don't normally get a Norman sighting. I don't know why he's crying. He's not normally a crier, but we have a Norman sighting. Oh, what's wrong? Come here. You might get to see Norman, everybody. He normally won't join. No, he ran away because he saw the dog. Anywho, what were we talking about? I have to go back and edit this out, so I have to remember what I was saying. Let's just go back to Supernatural. So this one's been in the works for a while. I will be at Supernatural DC, and that is the end of September. It is September 29th through October 1st. And I'm very, very excited about this one. It's going to be super special. It's kind of like a trifecta. So it will be not far from where I grew up. This con is in Arlington, Virginia, and I grew up not far from there. I'm actually not far from where I went to prom, so that's very exciting. It's also my birthday weekend, so I'm really, really excited about that, and it might even time out to be a full moon now that I think about it. But on top of that, we're celebrating my favorite show with my favorite fandom, because the Supernatural fandom is by far the best fandom, and I will fight that to beyond death, okay? And I'm hard to kill, so good luck. So that is the next one. And then I have something in the works for December, and I will let you know as soon as I know. And then, of course, Fan Expo New Orleans in January, which I'm super excited about. So the best thing for you to do is to go to lenanazeri.com and sign up for my Fanged family, because they get emails from me all the time, and they find out everything before anybody else. The second I know, I share it with them, and before them, I share it with my street team. So if you believe in me and believe in what I'm doing, and you want to get the word out, then go join my street team, and you get some free stuff from me. But really, all you have to do is post on social media, or watch the videos. So it's really not that hard. Speaking of social media, I haven't talked about this one in a while, but let's go through the list. So we have the Instagram. That's where I post pictures of things that I'm planning, things I'm going to do. That's where you get to see, like my new tattoo. Can you see it on YouTube? We have my tattoo. So this line of text that you see on my forearm, that was done before COVID. And the plan was always to turn it into some kind of half sleeve, and then boo, COVID happened. We know how that went. So I've been talking about it, and there was a tattoo guy set up. Hey Nick, if you ever watch this. And so I just liked his vibe, and I liked his art, and I was like a little bit nervous, but my human servant Layla was there, and she will always talk me out of anything stupid. And originally I was going to put it on my ribs, but then she was like, well, what about the half sleeve? So the plan is that every city I go to for an appearance, I'm going to add to the half sleeve until it's full. So the next thing is going to be here, and it's going to be a tarot card in New Orleans. So you guys reach out to me and tell me what tarot you think I should do. I'm stuck between 3 right now, and it's funny because somebody just commented on my social media, and it was one of the cards they recommended is on my 3, so we'll see. But follow me on Insta for all that stuff. TikTok is where you get random vampire facts and vampires making the news. I'm up to 110 random vampire facts. That's all free. You can go learn all about vampires from yours truly on TikTok. Spotify, I have a playlist on there, and that is the Eternal Night Shift series soundtrack. I like to throw music on there that I feel like when this becomes a movie or a TV show, manifesting, this is the kind of music that I'd like to have it. So either the songs are actually mentioned in the books, or it's just something that I hear and go, oh, that would be really good. And I'm working on theme songs. So we already have Evelyn's theme song on there and Alex's theme song, but I'm working on a couple more. So go check that out on Spotify. And then if you're just listening on the podcast and don't know, I have a YouTube channel, and that's where you get to see, I record the podcast on video for YouTube, and I don't edit stuff out. So You get to see all the mistakes. You get to see, we just missed a Norman sighting. He came into the room, which almost never happens. If I make mistakes, if I stumble across my words, if the kids come in, whatever, you get to see it. So you get to see behind the scenes of what it's really like to record a podcast. And that is my YouTube. And I think that's enough talking about myself for now. I am pretty excited to talk about this movie. So we're in June and we're doing obscure movies that most people don't know about, and they all are from the 80s and 90s, my favorite time. And this one was one that I have seen many times and I knew was going to be on this list. For those of you who have never listened to the podcast or watched the YouTube channel, massive spoiler alert, okay? I ruin everything. I'm reviewing the movie from tip to tail. I will tell you who hooks up with who gets pregnant, who dies, how they die, who kills them, all that good stuff. So be warned. We are talking about Howling 6, The Freaks. And this is a good time to talk about tonight's Vampire Tea. I know I do this one all the time, but it is one of my favorites. And if we're going to talk about the Howling, we have to do this tea. So we're back to my Wolf's Bane blend, which I love this. I'm almost out of it, actually. So that is here, and I pulled out my True Blood mug for that. And then I also have a Code Blood mug that has water, because whatever funk is in the air right now, I have like some kind of weird tickle in my throat. So we're also going to add some water to the Wolf's Bane blend. Say that 5 times fast. Because of course we're talking about a werewolf movie. We gotta have the wolf tea. But that's Vampire Teas. Go check them out. Love, love, love them. Let's summarize the Howling 6, The Freaks. For those of you who have never seen it and don't want to watch it, we'll talk about what happens. And then for those of you who haven't seen it in a long time, we'll talk about it. Let's do this. A young girl runs through the woods being chased by a creature which corners and kills her. Later, a young drifter named Ian goes into a small desert town of Cannon Bluff, where he befriends the local pastor Dewey and gets a job repairing the church. Ian also befriends Dewey's daughter Elizabeth, and there is a mutual attraction. A traveling circus comes to town, and Ian takes Elizabeth there on a date where R.B. Harker, the owner, shows them his freak show, featuring Bellamy, Harker's assistant who bites the head off live chickens, Toons, a man with dwarfism and a third arm, Toons' lover Carl/Carlotta, a transsexual lounge singer, and Winston, a man who has, and this is actually a real thing, ichthyosis. It's where they have like scales, and he goes by the stage name of Alligator Boy. That night, the president of the local bank, Anna, goes missing after being alone with Harker. Later, Ian attempts to skip town before the full moon as he is secretly a werewolf. He fails and transforms, with Bellamy seeing this and telling Harker. Harker captures Ian, showing Dewey and Elizabeth Ian's curse by forcing him to transform with a crystal talisman and then reciting an ancient spell. Ian wakes the next day to find himself caged at the circus. Harker appears and tells Ian that he had killed Elizabeth as a werewolf, leaving Ian distraught. In reality, this was a lie that Harker told to convince him to stay, as he had kidnapped some of the other freaks, like Winston. Winston and Ian become friends, and Winston asks Ian to make him a werewolf too, as he wants to be different because of his malformed skin. Ian refuses and encourages Winston to leave the circus, as there is nothing wrong with him and he does not need Harker to survive. Sheriff Fuller visits Ian and reveals that Elizabeth is actually alive, but Ian still decides to stay a prisoner as he doesn't want to hurt anyone. Harker then adds Ian to the freak show and forces him to transform again later that night in front of a crowd of onlookers. After Ian has transformed, Harker throws Winston's pet cat towards him, expecting Ian to kill it, but Ian gives the cat back to Winston. Harker is annoyed and immediately cancels the show, forcing Bellamy to punish Ian severely afterwards. Suspicious of Harker, Fuller stumbles across Anna's body at the circus and attempts to arrest Harker, only for Harker to reveal that he is a vampire and kills the sheriff. The next morning, the townsfolk find Fuller's mutilated corpse and blame Ian. Ian tricks Bellamy and escapes so he can run away with Elizabeth, who still believes his innocence. That night, Harker kills the Mayor Pruitt, and Ian reveals to Elizabeth that it was actually Harker who killed his family when he was a young boy and placed the werewolf curse on him. Ian returns to the circus to fight Harker once and for all, only to be ambushed by Harker and a lynch mob, all armed with guns. Harker orders them to shoot Ian, but they refuse as he is just a man. Angered by this, Harker becomes a vampire, and realizing their weapons have no effect, the townsfolk flee, leaving Harker to chase Ian. Elizabeth arrives at the circus and is attacked by Toons, and Elizabeth shoots him dead. Carlotta witnesses this and attacks Elizabeth, but Carlotta is shot and killed by an arrow fired by Dewey. Ian finds Bellamy's corpse, as Harker presumably killed him for letting Ian escape. Ian and Harker fight, but Harker easily overpowers Ian. Winston, knowing Ian can only win if he is transformed, grabs Harker's talisman and says the spell. Ian transforms and Harker attacks Winston by biting him in the neck. Ian rushes to assist Winston and Harker tricks him into biting Winston in the neck as well. Enraged, Ian stabs Harker in the heart with a tent stake. Ian then tears the side of the tent open and lets the morning sunlight flood in, turning Harker to dust. Ian returns to his human form and walks out of the circus towards the countryside with the badly injured Winston, leaving Elizabeth and her father behind. So for those of you who saw that I was doing Howling and you're like, wait a second, that's a werewolf movie? You just have to trust me. I know what I'm doing. So there's your vampire, and that vampire is played by Bruce Payne, and he's not in any other vampire things, which actually surprised me, but he was in the third Warlock. He became the Warlock when Julian Sands did not do it the third time. So let's do some vampiric references and crossovers. Obviously, Harker is a reference to Jonathan Harker from Dracula. I probably don't need to tell you guys that. And then for crossovers, you're going to see there's a theme here. Brendan Hughes plays the werewolf in this, and he was Vlad in To Die For One, which we talked about last week. No really good trivia. I was hoping for something juicy or interesting, but not really. Mostly it was just people bashing the movie, which, bash away, I like it. I'm going to just let you know that right now. All right, let's break it down. Let's break down the vampires. Their relationship to humans. So Harker travels with this freak show from town to town, luring in humans to feed on, and then they move on. He looks human until he vamps out, so you don't know he's a vampire until he wants you to. He doesn't strike me as the type of vampire who's going to woo or seduce a human. I think he just eats them and moves on. Relationship to animals. I mean, the only animal we see is that poor kitty cat, and Harker doesn't have any kind of sway or power over this cat. He just throws him in hoping the werewolf is going to eat him. So he's kind of a jerk to animals, actually. Their appearance. Like I said, they look human. So when this movie came out, all they knew is that it was a Howling movie. So it's not until he revealed that he was a vampire that anybody even knew vampires was going to be in this. So that's how human this guy looks. Now, when he does vamp out, I'm going to do my best here, but if you're on YouTube, I'm going to post a picture. Oh, this is a good time to mention this. So somebody said to me that some of the pictures don't come through. It's like just a box. I'm sorry if that happens. I don't know if YouTube is pulling them or what's happening, but I wouldn't even know that. When I edit it, I see a picture, so clearly when it's posted, that's when it changes. So if that happens, I'm really sorry. I will try and catch those and fix them, but I don't know why that's happening. Anywho, so I'm going to post a picture on YouTube. The vampire, guys, I can't make this stuff up. He is shiny and purple. And when I say purple, I mean like eggplant purple. He looks like an eggplant. He's bald. He has long fingers and fingernails. He has pointed ears. He has yellow sclera. I'm just reporting the facts here. I did not write that. That was not my idea. At least, though, the fangs are two sharp, retractable fangs. So We'll give credit where credit is due. Blood, yes, this vampire is blood driven, and it appears that that is his whole diet. We never see him eat any kind of food or drink anything. We never actually really see him drink anybody. We just know that they're alone with him and then they're dead. Sunlight, nope, no sunlight for this vampire. He is nighttime only. So he sleeps in, I can't think of the word right now. It's not a trailer, but you know when the classic circus, they each have their cart. Well, he has his cart, and in the cart is what looks like a couch, but the couch lifts up, and underneath is where he sleeps. That's his coffin, and it is full of soil. So that's classic vampire. The holy items, never addressed. We never see that. Rules. So I'm assuming that is the dirt of his homeland. If we're going for classic vampire, he has to sleep in the soil of his homeland. So we're going to assume that's why he sleeps in a box of dirt, because I couldn't imagine he chooses that I am assuming he has to sleep in that. Other than that, we don't see too much. We never see mirrors, so I don't know if he casts a reflection. We never see garlic used. We never see him need to be invited in. Nothing. I can't speak to that. Powers. Okay, so he's either fast or he can teleport, because he will just suddenly show up behind people. He's very strong. He can appear human for a majority of the time that we see him, but of course he shifts. Now he has this talisman that he uses to curse people with a werewolf curse, and also uses them to force a shift. That being said, it's clearly not a vampire power because Winston does it, and Winston's not even a werewolf. He's not even a supernatural creature. He just has a medical condition, a dermatological condition. So I guess anybody can grab that. So I was kind of chuckling because of the warlock tie-in. So I would assume that talisman was at some point in time spelled by some kind of magical person. And that's it. So the vampire doesn't really have like the coolest of powers. He's just super strong and possibly fast, or possibly can teleport. How are they made? So since Harker is the only vampire and we don't know his origin, I actually don't know how they're made. And we do know Winston gets bit by both the vampire and the werewolf, and then we see Winston out in the sun. So clearly either it takes a long time to transform, or the werewolf canceled out the vampire, or or maybe you need more than just a bite. I'm sorry, I can't speak to this one. Heart beating or breathing, this is never addressed. I don't know if his heart beats or if he breathes. How do they die? Sunlight is usually a pretty good guess for most vampires. And that is how he dies in this one. Since he's the only vamp and that's how he dies, I can't speak to anything else. Now, he is stabbed through the heart with a tent stake, but it's hard to tell. It all happened so fast. It's hard to tell if that was his heart where he was stabbed, or if it has to be wooden and it didn't work because that was metal. All I know is stabbed, then sunlight, and it looks like the sunlight is what got him. Is he good or is he bad? In this particular tale, the vampire is the bad guy and the werewolf is the good guy. We know how Lena feels about this, but I have to report what's happening in this universe. Vampire is bad, and again, because Harker is the only vampire we ever see, we don't know if this is all vampires are bad or if just Harker was always bad and he just is now a bad person who lives forever. What we do know is he killed a family and cursed a little boy, a werewolf curse, and then left him. That's messed up. He abuses the carnival workers, so sorry guys, the werewolf is the good guy in this one. Okay, tropes I love and tropes I hate. I know this is politically incorrect. Please don't cancel me. I'm just being honest. I love a good freak show trope. We talk about places that are good settings for particular scenarios. Like a carnival is always good because there's so much people and lights and noise and it's easy to kind of just go missing. Obviously, you know, asylums and hospitals that have been abandoned. A freak show is a great one. That is a great trope and I'm always here for it. especially because it's such a great way for real monsters to hide, and they can just go from town to town to town. Now, we're not clear about the timeline on this, but it seems to me like it's the kind of time where you can drop a body in every town and they're not necessarily talking to each other. So nobody's going to put it together that, hey, everywhere this carnival goes, a body is dropped. What else? Oh, you guys all know this, but I love a good vampire versus werewolf trope. I'm always here for it. I always think of Underworld, which I promise I'm gonna do. I love a good revenge trope, and that one happens with this one, especially when this person has spent years tracking someone down for revenge. And that's what happens in this one. Ian has been tracking this carnival for years to find this vampire and get his revenge. Tropes I hate. This is not necessarily a trope. I am all for creativity when it comes to vampires. You guys know that. My whole podcast is just breaking down the universes that different writers have created and talking about the vampire that they have created. So I'm here for it. That being said, if you have seen the picture of this vampire when he's vamped out, I mean, my first thought was, other than he looks like an eggplant, was he looks like a mythical evil fairy. That's what he looks like to me. So I did not like the appearance of this vampire. Sorry. Alrighty. Everybody's favorite, the ratings. And guys, we're going to shake it up here. We are going to do these backwards. So normally we talk about the scary or evil first. We're going to flip this up. And first we're going to talk about how sexy or alluring is the vampire of Howling 6, The Freaks. He's not. I'm going to jump right to it. He gets the honorary vamp point. In human form, he is a good-looking guy. Bruce Payne is a very good-looking guy, so I'll give him that one. And that's where the points stop. I don't think he cares about sex. He's not going to be seducing you. There's not going to be like last week, we're not going to get the candlelight, four-poster bed seduction, with wine and a thunderstorm. He's going to lure you back, and then he's going to eat your face. That's it. He's cruel, he's manipulative, he's abusive, and his vampire form, yikes. Guys, I don't want that on top of me. I'm sorry. So 2 out of 10 onks for sexiness and allure. Bruce Payne, if you ever watch this, I'm sorry. I know it wasn't your fault. How scary or evil is the vampire of Howling 6, The Freaks? This is where Harker excels. Okay, this is where he gets an A+. He's strong, he's fast. His vampire form is going to put fear in a human immediately. His nails become claws. As far as I can tell, he's not very easy to kill, although, like I said, it did happen very quickly. He is bound by the sun, and he does have to sleep in a box of soil from his homeland. So that really does kind of limit where he can be and how he can move and how quickly he can move. But because of this carnival he owns, he can go from town to town to town easily, and nobody really even thinks twice about him because he's the most normal one in the bunch, and I think that's how he gets away with so much. He also has a lot of daylight helpers. Everybody in his show is helping him during the daylight. So R.B. Harker, you get an 8 out of 10 stakes to the heart for scariness and evil. If you were hoping that you were more evil than sexy, congratulations, you win. You did it. You did it, gold star. All right, my thoughts. Remember when I said that there are some bad movies that I really love for a reason that I just can't put words to? This is one of those. I have watched it so many times over the years. I'm not going to lie to you guys. You know, we're all friends here, no judgment. I've watched it way too many times. It's one of those movies that I won't watch for a while, and then it will pop in my head and I'm like, I have to go watch Howling 6 again. I did buy it on Amazon so I can watch it anytime I want to. Bruce Payne, you are such an excellent vampire villain. You were made for this role. Brendan Hughes is one of my high school crushes. He was in this, he was in To Die For, he was in Return to Horror High, if you guys remember that one. All of which are on, they were on a rotation in my bedroom with my little TV VCR combo, which is still the best thing I've ever owned. He has this whole like boy next door, you always feel like you're going to be safe around him kind of look. So he was one of my first high school crushes. The handsome loner coming to town, falling for the preacher's daughter as the carnival he's been tracking comes to town, all while he hides a horrible curse. I mean, come on. It's every teen girl in the 90s was falling for that. It's Beauty and the Beast, let's be honest. So yes, as a vampire expert and someone who has no problem tearing movies down every week, I can tell you it's not a good movie. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. It's not a good movie. The vampire is a complete joke. That being said, this will continue to be on my rotation for life. It's gonna be a guilty pleasure. It just is what it is. Even though I love it, I do recognize how bad it is. So we're gonna do something we haven't done in a while. That's right. We're gonna do IMDb review titles, my faves. And this is where we're gonna stop for the YouTube people because it's about to stop on its own. So we're gonna stop it and come back. We're back. For whatever reason, at 30 minutes, it stops itself. So I thought that was a good time to stop and come back. And of course, I'm gonna edit this out of the podcast because that's just for you and me. Best IMDb review titles, here we go. A Forgettable Werewolf Carnival. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. This one's good. Instead of the Howling, the Yawning. Oh, that's mean. It's so funny. This review title is called Freaky, but not in a good way. We all know what you're talking about there. Double Wolf, as in WOOF, Double Wolf. One of them was, why is this series still going? This one is titled, I'm a Werewolf, Baby. Okay, this is wonderful. Good Werewolf versus Evil Carney. Listen, if any of you who wrote these reviews ever watch this podcast, please reach out to me because these are hysterical. And the person I am so thankful for, because obviously you and I are soulmates, this review title is, I like this movie more than I should. It's so true. It's so true. I know it's terrible, but I just like it. I like it. And that I'm sticking by it. That's it. All right. Next week, we're going to keep this train rolling. While I was doing obscure vampire movies that most don't know about, I figured I was going to know about them, right? And so when I was looking up Brendan Hughes to see if there were any vampiric crossovers, and then I remembered he was in Howling 6, I then saw another one that I was unaware of. I don't know how this one flew under my radar. And then when I looked it up and I saw that Bruce Campbell was in it, I was like, hell yeah! Bruce Campbell, I love you. Oh my God, if I could ever meet you. Bruce Campbell, vampire movie from the 90s, I am so in. So we are going to be doing Sundown, The Vampire in Retreat. It is available for purchase on Amazon Prime, which I did do, and I don't regret it at all. In the meantime, I wish you wicked hugs and bloody kisses. Good evening. All right. You know what? I feel like I kind of ended that one abruptly, but it is what it is. And I'm on a time crunch here. All right, YouTube. So I actually have a few things I'm going to have to edit out of this audio version. We had what? We had the cat. I have to edit out having to stop this and turn it back on. So I'm going to have to go back and like find those pieces and edit them out. I think those were the only two. If not, we're going to find out, right? Again, sorry about the whole picture thing. I don't know what's going on, honestly, but I will try and triple check. But again, when I edit it, the picture is there. So I don't know why it's disappearing when it goes over to YouTube, because they do actually process it, and they look for things, and everything comes back saying no problem. So it's not like it says, hey, we removed this picture. Nothing. I don't understand. So sorry about that, guys. But you know, remember, I've only been doing this season. I'm still very new to YouTube. I'm still learning a lot. So please be patient with me, bear with me. But oh my God, I forgot to drink my tea. Oh. Guys, if you have not gotten this Wolf's Bane blend yet, like, I don't know what you're waiting on. Go into the link in the description, because this tea, oh my God, it's so good. All right, I'm gonna go do some editing. I love you guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.